The Nashville Predators got a big road win, but have an even bigger power play problem. Let's break it all down on today's Locked On Predators podcast.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off today's episode shouting out our Locked On Predators insiders and our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio. And friends, I have a Thelma to my Hockey Louise.
You do. I'm Emma Lingan, and I'm an NHL reporter and host for the Hockey News.
Well, Nashville won their first road game of the season by defeating the Ottawa Senators on Monday afternoon by a score of 4-1. But friends, don't let that final score fool you. There are some issues for the Predators to work out. On today's show, we are going to recap Monday's win, including our one word to describe the game. We're also going to talk about the glaring issue that Nashville absolutely has to address if they want to be successful this season. And finally, we're going to have a delicate conversation about Steven Stamkos. Before we dive into all of that, we do want to let you know today's episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, Emma, it was so weird. It was a noon puck drop. I felt a little sleepy afterward, like this is the time I usually get ready and go to bed. But in another way, it was kind of fun to have an afternoon game on Canadian Thanksgiving where they eat some sort of wild game. We don't know. We really
Not
don't know.
beaver.
Not beaver. Some sort of, they had some food and we're thankful.
Yep.
Yeah. So noon puck drop, but the Predators came away with a 4-1 win. We do have to explain if you missed the game. 2 of those goals were empty net goals that Nashville scored after Ottawa pulled Linus Ullmark from the net. But look, there was a 4 in the score column under the name Nashville Predators. So we're going to take that. We're going to run with it. Of note, before we dive in and start kind of breaking down this game, there was a lineup change that is worth noting. Brady Martin was a healthy scratch in this game. Joakim Kimmel jumped up and played with Forsberg, and Ryan O'Reilly played center in this game. So, Emma, of course, you know, as we do around here, we like to recap our games with one word to describe whatever we saw unfold. So, what is your one word for yesterday's afternoon outing?
My one word is actually a number, and that number is 2. Because the Nashville Predators cannot score more than 2 goals. And while, look, we will gladly take the 4 on the score sheet. We will take that, even though, but if the net has to be empty for 2 of them, I will also mention that Steven Stamkos missed a wide open net at one point. So just saying, like, if you needed the assistance for, to get more than 2 goals, that's going to keep being my one word until they actually score more than 2 goals that aren't empty net goals. Because goodness, I mean, I will say defensively, once again, very tight. UC Saros looked fantastic. I think that they, the penalty kill was good. And until, Ottawa scored 1 goal, but they had to have a 6-on-4 advantage to get that. So I think overall, defensively, great. Again, this looks so much like the Nashville Predators from 2 years ago. And which honestly, like you said, we will take it at this point. We will absolutely take it. But, again, you're not going to win a whole lot of games in this league by just scoring 2 goals.
Yeah, it's really troubling. And at some point, you've got to be able to put the puck in the net at 5-on-5, or I don't know, 5-on-4, but put a pin in that because we're going to circle back. gonna circle back to that. My one word is 3 words because it's our show and our rules and we break them all the time. My one word is crash diet game. This game was like a crash diet. Like, did you get down 5 pounds for the event you were excited about? Sure. But is that sustainable lifestyle habits that you just did? No. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, offensively, sure, there were 4 goals on the scoreboard, but in reality, you scored 2 goals. And 2 goals are not going to keep winning you games in the NHL. So, is it a win? Yes. We love a win. We love a picture from an event where we look good. But also, you can't keep doing that long term and expect to have long term success. So, this just felt like a crash diet to me. Like, thank you for what you did for me, but let's make some better choices. Of course, we always ask our insiders community to describe this game with their one word. I love this one. My phrase is lipstick on a pig. Winning real ugly, but I'm not complaining. I thought that is very good. Another one's one word was LFG. You got to love the Predators are 2-0-1, friends. Like, we would have sacrificed chocolate to get 2-0-1 at the beginning of last season. Another one's one word, and you touched on this, juice. He's a god. He kept us in it, and our defense also looked good. Scrappy is my one word for this, another insider said. So there was a lot to like about this game, but Emma, there is one glaring thing about this game that we have to just dive right in to talk about, and that is the fact that the power play is the not power play. How do you make it make sense to me, Emma? Let me review the first power play. The top power play unit for the Nashville Predators includes players Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Jonathan Marchessault, Ryan O'Reilly, and Steven Stamkos. Friends, they couldn't score a power play goal. They could barely get a shot off on the power play. And when they set up in the offensive zone, it was pass, 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 pass. Did we not tell them, Emma, pass to the opposing goaltender? Did they not get the memo? What is going on with this power play? It's hideous.
It's so bad. Like,
So
it
bad.
is so bad. I mean, seriously, just put all the defensemen out there at this point. Like,
Yes.
what? I don't know. I don't even know.
Give me
put
Justin Barron and UC Soros
just
on
put
the
you and
power
me
play.
out there. Put Ann and Emma out there, and we probably get the same result. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
And it would be
it just,
entertaining.
yeah, it would be. And you know what? It would be I don't know. I just think that there is no urgency to it. There's no
Mm-mm.
speed to it. It looks very, I mean, like I said on yesterday's show, I think this power play does not scare anyone. It's
Oh,
like,
no.
if anything, like I said, other teams are probably like, yeah, let's get in the penalty box as much as possible because these guys are at their worst when they're on a man advantage. I mean, it is mind blowing to me how
Mhm.
bad this power play is. And I
Yeah.
mean, again, all perspective, yes, 2-0-1, we would have killed for that last year. So we will take the results, absolutely. But like you said, this is not going to be sustainable, especially if, you have to be, obviously the league, it's about skill and it's about all kinds of things, but I mean, you have to be opportunistic as well. And when you're not
Yes.
taking these free gifts that the opponent is giving you and making them pay for it, then what are you doing? Because I mean, 0 for 6, and that was after they went, what, 0 for 5 against Utah? I mean, it
Yeah, it was
was
bad. It's
it's
bad.
so bad. And it's not even like, oh, well, they went 0 for 6, but they looked good. No, they looked terrible.
No.
Like, they
Yeah.
look awful. And
Mm-mm.
you have, like you said, you have Steven Stamkos. That's why he's supposed to be here. You brought him in to be your power play specialist. He's one of the worst looking guys out there right now. And we're going to talk about that. But I mean, it's just, there is no urgency to it. That's like the first thought that comes to mind is
Yeah.
like, there's no, like, oh man, we got to score here. It's just like,
Mhm.
well, pass the
Cool.
puck,
We can
pass the
pass the
puck.
puck for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While the
It
guy in the box just catches his breath, and then
There's some
we'll get
body
back to
armor
the
in
game.
there for him to drink, like, "Electrolyte up, friend. We'll just wait here for you." And it's so glaring, I think, because like you had mentioned, the defense is playing so aggressively. The penalty kill is much more aggressive. It was very successful last season, but they are playing a much more aggressive penalty kill. So the rest of the Nashville Predators game looks more aggressive. And then you get to the power play, and it's literally like a record scratch where they just go into like lullaby form. I can't, it is so glaringly obvious. Tempo, speed, and they had some quick passes at one point on the power play, but I'm like, that's really cool. Shoot the puck. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to win games unless you are opportunistic. And Nashville absolutely was not opportunistic against a not very good penalty kill. Well, they look much better now, friends. You're welcome, Ottawa, for shooting your penalty kill ranking right up. We got
Yeah.
you. Coming up, we are going to talk about a couple more issues from this game, including one player that we're a little worried about, but we will also talk about the things that we really liked from Nashville. Today's episode's brought to you by our great friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You are going to love how FanDuel gives you so many different ways to play. You can build parlays, you can try those player props, you can even follow the live lines during games. It's going to make watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you are a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel is going to make your game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit fanduel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, Emma, I'm trying to decide if we want to go for the positives or if we just need to dive right into it. Let's just dive right into it. We have to have a conversation about Steven Stamkos. And you mentioned this as we were talking about the power play. And you look at Steven Stamkos and the excitement around him and the way last season went. And one thing you know for sure, and you and I talked about this, Stamkos needs a hot start. And it is a bit of a catch-22 with Steven Stamkos because while you absolutely have to get him off to a hot start offensively, he is also on a line with Fedor Svechkov and Luke Evangelista or Joachim Kimmel. So he is the veteran presence on a line with two younger players. And there is a dynamic there that he also has to be a little bit mindful of. But really, it's getting to a point where it's concerning. Yes, now Steven Stamkos did have a drop pass to Ryan O'Reilly to get the go-ahead goal in this game. But even that has me asking myself questions about where Steven Stamkos is at. What is your concern level 3 games in with what we're seeing or not seeing from Stamkos? And where do you think the biggest issue is?
I really don't know. I mean, it is very clear that he has not gotten going.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game he said, or the first game he looked very just kind of slow, maybe a
Mhm.
little lost. Like he just never quite got going. And you can't even blame it on his line mates either, because like at one point when Brady Martin came out of the game, he went up to the top line. He was playing with
True.
Forsberg and O'Reilly, and we still didn't see anything. And then you see him in the game against Utah, could not stay out of the penalty box. You might not have recognized him outside of the penalty box in that game. And then he goes out for that god awful 3-on-3 overtime that just laid an egg out there. And so I think that it's just like now you see him. I mean, it's not even just like, oh, he's getting chances, he's just not finishing. No, I mean, we saw with the goal, he had an assist. He did get an assist
Mhm.
against Ottawa. But Anne, can we talk about that?
Yes.
Because that should
Yes.
not have been an assist for Steven Stamkos. So I'm going to give you the floor on this one.
Okay. We have a Ring camera in our living room, but we're not going to share the footage with you. But I'm on my couch and I see this play unfold, and you've got Forsberg and Stamkos on a 2-on-1. And I'm like, here we go. Here we go. And Forsberg makes a great pass to Stamkos, and he skates towards the net, and he dropped that puck back. And I screamed, paraphrasing, shoot the puck. Why are you dropping that back? Now, he dropped it back. Ryan O'Reilly scored. I get that it's like, oh, then that unexpected. You didn't know I was going to do that. But there is a part of me that's like, you shoot that damn puck. You know, Ryan O'Reilly's back there. He's going to clean up a rebound. You shoot that puck. I can't tell if Steven Stamkos is trying too hard or if he's having a crisis of confidence here, because you shoot that puck. You shoot that puck. You got an assist, but you didn't get pretty points, because do you know what? You don't get pretty points in the NHL. It doesn't count. Shoot that puck. I love the result of that play, but it really made me say to myself, what's going on? What is going on that he's not shooting that in the slot? If you're in the slot, you're shooting the puck. If you are in the slot, you are shooting the puck. Like, I don't know.
I think that the whole, like, is it, a crisis of confidence, or is he trying too hard? It's like, honestly, it feels like both right now. And again, I'm trying not to catastrophize this entire thing, and
Right.
because it has been 3 games, like, it's fine. But I think it is impossible for us to not bring last year into the conversation, because they keep saying, or at least Andrew Brunette keeps saying, like, we don't want to talk about last year anymore. We're done talking about last year. Well, then don't play like you did last year, Steven Stamkos.
Yeah.
And I will say, to everyone else's credit, like I said, defensively, they've looked fantastic. They have
Amazing.
played much better than last year. But he still looks like it is unsettling. And again, it's try not to panic too much, because again, 3 games, but when one guy who is supposed to be like one of your biggest offensive drivers is not getting going. And not only is he not getting going, he's like at times actively making this team worse. It's a little unsettling, even if it is only for 3 games.
Yeah. And I think it makes it more alarming. It feels more alarming because so much of what Nashville is struggling with too, that is glaring, is the power play. And that is Steven Stamkos's wheelhouse. And if Steven Stamkos isn't going to shoot the puck on the power play, he needs to act like he's going to shoot the puck. Because if you're not going to be the goal scorer, you be the decoy. And we saw him get off one of those shots against Ottawa, but it was one of those shots against Ottawa. And those shots from the office, whether it is more on the responsibility of Yossi or whoever is, at the top of the point who gets that puck to him, or whether it's on Stamkos, you have to make people play Stamkos. You have to make the penalty kill err on the side of, oh crap, Steven Stamkos. And there's none of that. We've talked about this a little bit, you and I, and one of our insiders said, I do wonder if maybe Bruno should do something we've been preaching against, and that is switch a line, move Stamkos to at least be with Ryan O'Reilly, if not Phil as well. As you both have said, 91 needs to get going, and I don't know if Fedor is the one to help him, to get him the puck on a consistent basis. This is one of those things where it feels like Steven Stamkos' role is to help get Fedor Svechkov going. But if neither of them are going, it feels a little bit like that line is stalling, and that's a line that you need to see production from. I'm almost to the point where I'm like, what is it going to take to get Stamkos going? Because I do think that Svechkov needs and will have success if he has a line mate who is going. It's the chicken and the egg. And one of them has to be dinner. Like, we're either having chicken or we're having eggs. But we got nothing right now.
And honestly, all of this, I mean, you can blame, and we have blamed Andrew Brunette, and he deserves blame for plenty of things. But this issue we're talking about right now, this falls on Barry Trotz, because I think that the way that you've constructed this roster, you've now created this issue where Steven Stamkos not getting going is becoming a bigger problem for the rest of the roster. It's becoming a bigger problem for Fedor Svechkov. So then what do? Okay, maybe you switch Stamkos, you put him on the top line with Forsberg and O'Reilly. Fine, you do that. But then you put what? Kimmel on the third line? Fine. But then are you really doing the most for Fedor Svechkov there? And that's where it's like, okay, well, you have to decide what your priorities are. Is your main priority getting Stamkos going, or is your main priority building a strong core of young forwards for the foreseeable future? And because you've constructed your roster this way, it's like those two things. You've constructed it with the just assumption that Steven Stamkos is going to be going. Like, if he's going, everything's great. But it's like, well, what happens if he doesn't? It doesn't just affect him now. It affects like your entire plan, or what you say your plan is. So I just think that you've now built this kind of roster where it's maybe you can fix one problem, but it's like, you plug one hole, but then you have a new one, and it's just like it never really, it's like whack-a-mole almost. It's like they're never really gone. It's like there's always something. And I mean, to a degree, you're going to have that no matter who's on your roster, but this is just like, again, it seems so much like they're so hung up on proving that last year was a fluke. And that hinges on getting the veterans going, which is important. But now, like, I mean, the kids have been awful quiet these first 3 games. Just saying. So it's, I don't know.
I love what you say.
Hard to have those two things coexist in this setting, the way it's built right now.
Yeah. And I think the assumption was last year was a fluke. Steven Stamkos will get going. Let's hope he does. But in the first 3 games, it is something that absolutely has to go in the of note cabinet, because Nashville is going to be a much better team when Steven Stamkos is playing well, because other people are going to play better when Stamkos is. Coming up, we are going to talk about one other player who is just living his best life, friends. And then we're going to preview what that player may want to do against the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it is their 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you have put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch helps you easily review finances with your partner and keeps a clear view of your financial health. It's also a great tool for young adults working towards that big financial goal. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That is 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, Emma, we got to give a shout out to Mr. Jonathan Marchessault, who was a man possessed. He has really come out this season with a clean slate, a fresh start, and fire in his shorts that he leaves on the locker room floor. You gotta love what you've seen from him. He had 2 goals. Of course, one of those was an empty net goal against Ottawa yesterday. How much of that is Jonathan Marchessault, Emma, and how much of that is Jonathan Marchessault with Eric Holla and Michael Bunting?
I'm just going to say that line has combined 4 goals in all 3 games that we've seen
Yes.
so far. They are a fun line. They're a fun group. I mean, talk about fire in your shorts. I mean, that's all 3 of those guys, and you put them
Yes.
together. It's like, woo. Like I said, it's a little, I mean, they're all fiery. I think
Mhm.
Marchessault's fiery already, and then you add on the disappointment from last season, and he's even more fired up. And then you have Bunting and Holla, who are newer to the
Mhm.
organization, at least this season. Holla, of course, been here before, but I think that they are both, that's just, they play with that edge, they play with that sandpaper, and you're now seeing it. Like, they are kind of the epitome of, it might not be pretty, but it'll find the back of the net. Like, you'll score the
Yes.
goal. And so, I mean, sometimes that's all you can ask for, really. I think that, they are a good example, the 3 of them being together, of like, hey, see, good things happen when you go to the net and you shoot the puck, because it doesn't always have to be pretty. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be this perfectly executed, shot from the corner or wherever. Like, it can be ugly and it can be gritty, and sometimes you're just muscling your way to the front of the net. And I mean, I would like to see more of that from the rest of the team.
Yes, absolutely. This line, Andrew Brunette has said from the beginning of camp when we first saw them, the first couple days of training camp, he's like, this is a line that's setting a tone. This is a line that I think Nashville is going to point to and say, play more like these guys. And you love to see it, because let's just be honest, last season was a really hard season for Marchessault. I do want to shout out 2 other players from this game. Of course, we have to mention UC Saros. He's not one of my 2, because you're right. UC Saros, just, I mean, chef's kiss in Finnish, friend. Like, keep doing what you're doing. But I do want to shout out Michael McCarron. And I want to shout out Nick Perbix. And you had mentioned Perbix after one of the earlier games. Those are 2 people who aren't doing the glamorous stuff, but who are making a difference on their shifts. And that's all you can, that's all you want from any of these players. We talk about Steven Stamkos and what we want from him. I want him to make a difference when he is out on the ice. I don't need it to be amazing, but I need it to be impactful for 45 seconds to a minute. And I thought Michael McCarron, I think, has done that consistently in the first 3 games of the season. Not going to show up on the score sheet, but I love what we're seeing from him. It's very Holla Bunting Marchessault-esque. And I think Nick Perbix has really proved that he is ready for the step up. And what he and Shea are doing, I think it looks real good defensively. So I just wanted to shout them out. They're not glamorous, but you're getting exactly what you want from them. I mean, I would take some goals from them too, but you know, for the most
Yeah,
part.
Mike McCarron has been, I think, very, very noticeable these
Mhm.
last few games. Like, even if it hasn't been on the score sheet, I mean, not as much against Ottawa, but at least in the first 2 games, winning all of his faceoffs and just like looking like a real menace out there. I mean, he has been very noticeable. Perbix as well. Shea has had some questionable moments already this season, but I do like him being with Perbix more,
Mhm.
who's more of that traditional shutdown defenseman, as opposed to him being paired with like a Nick Blankenberg, who's a little more offensive. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, again, defensively overall, structure has been so much better, which is
Yeah.
like, I think that was the main thing we were all kind of holding our breath about, like, going into this, like, okay, like let's just see what happens. But I think now it's like, all right, well, the defensive structure is there. That's good. And now you're almost like, well, we don't want to, beggars can't be choosers here, but like some goals would be nice as
saying.
well.
I'm just saying. Yeah. And Wilsby, Stasny, love what we're seeing from them. So there's a lot to like about Nashville. But if Nashville wants to continue to win games, they've got to take some steps forward, especially offensively. And friends, they're going to have to try to do that tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Predators have a back-to-back. Tonight is a regular evening game. It's a 6 p.m. Central Time puck drop. They are playing, of course, in Toronto. This is game 2 of a 4-game Canadian road trip for Nashville. Toronto is 1-2 this season. They had a win over Montreal by a score of 5-2, but 2 of those were empty net goals. So it was a much closer game than the final score, a la Nashville versus Ottawa. They've lost twice to Detroit. Detroit, you spicy little fellas. Detroit beat them 6-3. Again, closer game than that. 2 late empty net goals. And then Monday they beat Toronto 3-2. So watching Detroit. But, Toronto, this is always a team that offensively can get some things going. And so I'm not as worried defensively, but Nashville has to be very solid defensively, but you got to generate some offense. Like you've just got to, because here's what's real. Toronto's going to score goals. They're just going to, they're a goal scoring team. They just have that high end talent. So maybe we could do that. Maybe Nashville could score some goals, Emma.
Wouldn't that be
In-depth
nice?
analysis.
Breaking news. Nashville needs to score more goals. Scoring more goals means winning more hockey games. Follow us for more deep insight.
That's right.
Big if
That's
true.
right. Woo! Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting game. I also, think I'm making the assumption as of the time of this recording that we're gonna see Big Juice in net, which I think is a really interesting choice. I think I like the way they've done this back to back. If they do that, I like that idea of Big Juice in net. We have not seen him yet this season, but he's looked, just fine in training camp. So it'll be good to get a look at Onanen in net. And again, if you're going to face this high octane offense, put the big guy in. Why not? So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. Power play, friends. Power play, power play, power play. If Nashville gets an opportunity on the man advantage, move quick with urgency and try to shoot the freaking puck. I mean, again, in-depth analysis, but really that's where we're at. That's the next step for Nashville is capitalizing, like you said, being opportunistic. And they've got to do that. If you want to get a win against Toronto, you got to be opportunistic.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it's more than just like, oh, we'll shoot the puck more. I mean, it's almost like they're so laser focused on being defensively responsible, which is good. They should be after last year. But it's like, no, we need to do both. I said this about the team last year. It's like, you can do both. This isn't football. You can play offense and defense at the same time.
Yeah.
And it just like, again, you don't feel like there is any urgency on that power play. You don't feel like they're putting any pressure, that they're not smothering anyone. Like it is just like, oh, okay, well, you have one fewer player than we do, so we'll let you get set up in front of the net. Like, why are you making all these concessions? Like, no, you should be overpowering this penalty kill. And again, it's not just the results. It's not just that there haven't been goals scored. It's like, well, no wonder. I mean, if you watch this thing, it looks terrible. So I don't know. I think it's a strategy thing that needs to be changed up. Like, I don't know that it's personnel based. I mean, maybe, but to me,
I
it
would
feels
hope
like,
not.
I mean, to me, it just feels like you need a new strategy. Like something's got to change, which is again a little concerning because that was supposed to be Andrew Brunette's thing, was the power play, and
3 games in. Yeah, it's almost like they need more creativity. The power play looks like A plus B plus C plus D equals.
It's
You-
following a very specific
yes.
template or formula.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're
Free
too
them up.
afraid to go off book.
Yeah.
Like,
Free them up. Free them up, Bruno. Just tell them go out there and play street hockey on ice and see what happens on the power play. So this will be a really, again, we've had from Nashville 3 games against 3 teams that I think give you a gauge of where Nashville is, and it gives you a gauge of where Nashville is lacking. I think tonight's game is going to tell us even more about the Nashville Predators. So we are going to see what they are able to do against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, this is an away game, 6 p.m. Central Time, puck drop, so it won't be quite so late when it's over, and we love that for us. Emma, before we wrap up our show on this Tuesday, will you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
you can find me on social media at Emma_Lingan, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Thank you so much for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day today. We will be back tomorrow recapping this Toronto game coming up tonight. We look forward to seeing what unfolds. We'll break it all down for you when we see you again tomorrow.